Isn't it great that the victory is Jesus, and we can be under that victory he had on the cross over 2,000 years ago? Welcome to Calvary Baptist Church. How you doing? Good. Doing okay? You got to be doing okay. You got an extra hour sleep. He says there's no excuses. So during the message, no one's dozing off. I'll be watching from right up there. Trust me, okay? It's going to be a good day. We're going to sing another song. We're going to pray, and then we're going to greet each other. And I want to caution you when you greet each other. You need to greet each other as though everyone you're greeting is your friend, because the message is about friendship. Prelude to the message. Let's have a word of prayer. Father, we thank you for this morning, Lord. But thank you we can come and worship you, Lord. How good this is. I pray for my brothers and sisters here, Lord, that we will remove the things of this world from our minds now, Lord. We'll focus on you, on the song that we'll sing to bring us ready for worship, Lord, on the word that'll be preached, that'll teach us more about your will for us and our lives. We praise you, Jesus. Amen. Won't you greet each other to your friends?
The half verse of the song. Like in the middle of the song, I was like,
Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. We live for you. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. We live for you. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation. I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken. I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation. I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me.
Please be seated. Here we go. Minor technicality. We're in complete control. Don't touch your horizontal, don't touch your vertical. Well, good morning. It's good to be here. Good to be here, friends. Are you feeling friendly today? I'm smiling. I must be your friend, huh? Turns out to be someone's friend, you need to do more than just smile. There's a lot more to it, as it turns out. So the message we've entitled, What Are Friends For? And it turns out friends are pretty important when you get into the Word of God. Now, having friends and being friends is very important. Regardless of what we think, we need other people in our lives. We're created that way. We are created that way as social beings. You remember, I think it was in the 90s, there was a sitcom, Betty White was in it, The Golden Girls. Anyone remember that? Do you remember the song? Who knows the song? I want to thank you for being a friend. Remember that song? Even if you don't like the show, it's a catchy tune. It was a good song. That was out there, and the Golden Girls did that. You know, thanking someone for being a friend, it's actually a pretty important thing, isn't it? Having friends is very important. It really is. And perhaps we don't understand the depth of what having friends is. And sometimes I'm not sure we know exactly how to execute friendship. We're going to be in the book of Ecclesiastes. We're going to be in the Old Testament, Ecclesiastes. We're going to be in chapter 4, verses 8 to 12. In the book of Ecclesiastes, you know, it's a book, it's the Ecclesiastes itself means the preacher or teacher. And it comes from the root word, which means assembly. And we're out today. We're an assembly today. So the church, something ecclesiastical. We're the church. And that's what the root meaning of this book is about. And it's referring to the person that addresses the assembly. So today, I'm the preacher. I'm addressing the assembly. But the book, what it really addresses is the problem we have in this world of trying to chase the world to have happiness, to have the world fulfill us. And throughout the book, continually use the word vanity. Vanity of vanities is used all the time. Vanity means meaningless, without purpose, trying to fulfill your life with happiness to be satisfied. It's like smoke or a vapor, or sometimes when you're driving early in the morning, you see the fog out there, the smoke is there, and you try and grab it. You just can't, can you? It's a fog, it's smoke. You can't grasp onto it, and that's what happens. It's really not there. And so that there is, but you really can't catch it because there's no satisfaction in reality outside of God. There really isn't. So we're going to be looking at some of these verses that I think are quite practical regarding friendship, the way the preacher in Ecclesiastes did this. And we're going to be in chapter 4, verses 8 to 12. Let's read through these, take a look at it, and see what it says to us. It says, "There is one alone without companion. He has neither son nor brother, yet there is no end to all his labor. Nor is his eye satisfied with riches. But he never asks, 'For whom do I toil and deprive myself of good?' This also is vanity and a grave misfortune. 2 are better than 1, because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, one will lift up his companion. But woe unto him who is alone when he falls, for there is no one there to help him up. Again, if 2 lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one be warm alone? Though they be overpowered by another, 2 can withstand him, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken." Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for this morning, Lord. Father, I thank you for the privilege to present your word. And Father, I pray everyone here is excited that they have the opportunity, they get to come to church, Lord. We don't have to come to church, but we get to go to church. We get to come here and worship you. We thank you and you praise you for this time we have together, Lord, though it'll be short. Father, I do hope it's a blessing to everyone in this room. Thank you, Jesus. Amen. Amen. So, the preacher from Ecclesiastes, he's teaching some important values regarding friendship. We are social beings. People in isolation are not happy. What happens in our prison system? If you're in a prison system and you misbehave even more for getting there, you get put in solitary confinement, isolation. Isolation is a punishment. So when we isolate ourselves, we are technically punishing ourselves. Have you ever thought about that? Being alone is something we really need to work to not do. And who does the wolf attack? The lone sheep. There's safety in the herd. There's safety when we're together. When we're alone, we leave ourselves in liability to the world, to Satan. Things will be out there. Now, when we get to this verse 8, we're going to step through these verses first because there's so much in them, and it's so wonderful. But in verse 8, it really seems that this person who is alone has a very unappealing lot in life, okay? Being alone, no relationships, laboring endlessly to find no satisfaction in the riches obtained thereby. This person has no one to share what they've gained with or hand it down to, not even knowing what to ask for, what is happening. And when you read through verse 8, it just goes through. It says, the negativity, there's one alone without they're alone. He has neither son nor brother, nor is his eye satisfied, but he never asks, "For whom do I toil and deprive myself of good?" He He's admitting, I'm depriving myself of good, right in that text right there. He's doing that. Very unhappy place that he sees. There's a lot of negativity. And then we jump right into verse 9. It says, the two working together, they have a good reward. Two working together. They get a good reward, and they do that. Why? Well, two can accomplish a lot more than one, right? This is not hard to figure out. Two can accomplish more than one. I wasn't here last Sunday. I was down in Virginia. I was rebuilding a porch at my daughter's house. Okay? Thursday afternoon, I tore the roof off. My brother-in-law joined me on Friday and Saturday. Boom! We were working together, man. We got it done. We knocked that baby out. It was great. We did a great job. Two working together. I never could have done it alone. And sometimes we attempt it at something by ourselves that's impossible. I was putting a window in last year, a big picture window in my porch I was redoing at my house. There was no way I could do it alone. John Galen, oddly enough, John Galen is down in Suffolk, Virginia now, where I just was last weekend. They moved down there. But John Galen came over, and he helped me get this giant window up in there because it took two of us to do it. I could not do it by myself. I had a friend that would come and help me. Two minds working together, yet each with independent perspective on things. Two minds, an independent perspective, right? They can improve a process or a project. Two heads are better than one. Simple fact of life. It really is. And we have two together, you can have counsel. You need two people to have counsel. At least two of you need to be together to get counsel. Together, there's camaraderie that when you're alone just doesn't exist. It doesn't. The warm feeling of friendship and closeness that comes from camaraderie when two are together. And how can we reward our labor? How can it be manifested? Well, there's always the simple things. You reward you work together. You get paid for it, financial. That's cool. You get paid. That's great. I like to get paid. I can go out and buy things. But you also, when you're together, that feeling of a job well done is much better. My brother-in-law and I, when we got done with that roof, there was some chest bumping happening. Tell you what, we were pumped. It looked great. We felt good. We did it together. It was so nice, the spirit that was between us when we did that. And you get enhanced closeness of the laborers. That's what happened. And I love that here. This is a plug for it, but this is quite true. When I come and clean the church and I'm with someone else, I have the best time because we're cleaning, chatting the whole time. I know more about people from the church when I clean with them than any other time. You're together. You're doing something. It's a natural flow. You just let it go. I love that, working together as laborers. All these things, you get a greater appreciation for the task when there's two of you as well. It's just wonderful. You learn to accomplish these tasks. But we follow down to verse 10. It says, for if they fall, one will lift up his companion. But woe unto him who is alone when he falls. There's no one there to help him up. There's a football game today. Have you heard about it? Certain out this Ravens team, the Patriots are going to go play. They've got an incredible defense. I've heard things that say Sony Michel shouldn't even show up for the game because they're going to pound them down. They're really good. But the point being to it, whether the Patriots win or lose, and they'll win, but whether they win or lose, Sony Michel is going to eat a lot of turf. Every time he does, one of his teammates is going to reach down, take his hand, and pick him up. It takes at least two people to be on a team. At least two when you get in there. It will. So when I'm down, who's going to pick me up? If your friend is down, are you there to pick him or her up? Or sometimes do we say, oh, they'll be okay? We want to be careful when we do that. We shouldn't make an assumption that they'll be okay. Because you might see the one thing that has them down a little bit, but there could be 10 others. So they're carrying a very big burden. Our friends, we need to go and pick them up. And again, in verse 11, it says, again, if two lie down together, they keep warm. But how can one be warm alone? Body heat, generates heat. But we need to take this in perspective of the Word of God. This is in the book of Ecclesiastes. So they didn't have Motel 8 when they traveled. They didn't have heaters in their car. They were traveling. Think of Abraham, Moses, Paul, Ruth, Naomi. They traveled, right? They didn't have any place to stay. They were out in a desert environment. They were cold. You wanted to have two bodies to stay warm. When we were down in Virginia traveling around, my wife and I listened to this story about Navy SEALs. You know, the Navy SEALs, the toughest men on earth, right? And they're freezing cold when they go through their, what they call their hell week they go through. These big, macho, beast guys, they're freezing cold at night. They huddle together with their bodies. They hug each other for the warmth of each other's bodies to survive that week they need to go through. Two bodies together. It's very important. Verse 12, though one be overpowered by another, two can withstand them. You're in battle. It's much better to have two there. And a threefold cord is not quickly broken. When adversity and despair and tragedy come, that's not the time to be alone. Okay? And trust me, adversity will come into our lives. Two can withstand it much better than one. How about a rope trick? It's not a rope trick. We're talking about cords. It's very practical. This is very practical. We have cords here that the Ecclesiastes, the teacher was teaching. Here's a cord. What happens in a cord is when you put a weight on it. When you put enough of a weight on a cord, down the length of the cord axially, microfibers start to break. And when you get to a certain point, radially around it, they start to break, and all of a sudden it breaks and it snaps. So when you watch a movie and the guy's hanging off the cliff, and they would show that rope slowly breaking, coming off, axially, radially, it snaps. That's what happens. And we have a twofold cord. The beauty of it is now we can hold twice as much. It's cool, get it? Twice as much, this is great. A threefold cord. We're getting 3 times our strength now, and this is quite good. And it really can stand against things. But there's one better in that. See, making ropes, the technology of this existed at the time of Ecclesiastes, and we use the same basic technology now. What happens with ropes, they get twisted. Ropes don't stand alone like that. They get twisted around like this, one atop the other. Look at a rope. Look at any good rope, not the kind I'm doing, the twisting this rope. The ropes get twisted one atop the other. When in going through this process, what happens is that stress that would be going down the rope straight now is dispersed around each of those 3 ropes atop each other. It's being redirected among the 3 ropes. A threefold cord like this that's wound together, it's much stronger than 3 cords all alone. That's because the 3 cords here, they're in a cord. They're not just cords, they're now in a cord. They're in agreement. They've been bound together. And that's the way our friendships need to be. Our friendships, we need to be bound together. We don't need to just stand alone. We need to be bound together in our friendships that are there. With a threefold cord in our life, when we're together, when we're bound together, we're of one heart. We're no longer individual strands, but we're perfectly woven and twisted together in the unity of faith, purpose of life, trusting one another. Trusting one another. See, the teacher in Ecclesiastes was describing the chase for satisfaction in the world of vanity, the meaningless, of vapors. The focus was for him, when he spoke in this book, was for the assembly coming together. The teacher was bringing them together. So let's jump from the Old Testament to the New Testament. Let's see what Jesus had to say about this. In John chapter 15, verse 13, it says, greater love hath no man than this. Then he laid down his life for his friends. You are my friends if you do whatever I command you. No longer do I call you servants, for a servant does not know what the master does. But I have called you friends. For all things I have heard from my Father I have made known to you. Now the role of friends seemed pretty important to Jesus. And he's discussing this with his disciples. He did not refer to them as friends early in his ministry, though, did he? He didn't. Jesus knew them, but they didn't know Jesus. If you think about it, they didn't know Jesus yet. They had yet come to the point where they trusted in Jesus, because friendship is a matter of trust. Trusting in someone else is what we need to do. Friends trust one another. You know that expression, I got your back? We use that a little bit loosely. Yeah, I got your back. I got your back. That's good. Well, if you're in a warfare situation, you want to know that your partner really has your back. In fact, you ever watch any of the nature shows? You know, they're out in the Serengeti when the hyenas attack the antelope or whatever it is. What do? One of them attacks from the back. That's what I've got your back is a very, very true statement. Between friends, we really must have that You need to trust someone to have them to know that they truly have your back. Because you don't want to be looking over your shoulder. You shouldn't be looking over your shoulder. If I got your back, I got your back. That's where we need to be. And we can be with people for years, have long conversations, and know a lot about each other. And that's really a common place in the workplace. You just know each other. I mean, I've known people all the time. I've known them there. But where does the transition take place? When does a relationship change from an acquaintance to a friendship? Can it be forced? Can it be cultivated? Are we supposed to be cultivating friendships and relationships? I think we are. And I love the little kids song, make a friend, be a friend, take a friend to Jesus. I love it. Make a friend, be a friend, take a friend to Jesus. Just goes. But what are the mechanics? How does that really work? It sounds good. A lot of things sound good. How does it work? See, because friendships are relational. Christianity is a relational way of life. In the book of Acts, before they were called Christians, they were called people of the way. The way, because of the way they lived their lives. That's what they were. It's all throughout Acts. It said they were people of the way. So, in developing relationships with people, we become more Christ-like. And there's an element of sanctification that comes with that. Jesus went so far as to Jesus built relationships with everyone, including the outcasts. Think of Jesus. There he is. Not only is he with the disciples, well, one of the disciples, Matthew, he was a tax collector. Zacchaeus, that wee little man, the song Zacchaeus, wee little man, I hope you know it. If not, we need to go down to children's Sunday school. We need to learn it. He was a publican as well. And the Pharisees were so disturbed with this. They said, look at this man. He's with these tax collectors and sinners. Blanket statement. That's who Jesus was with. He was reaching out to them. He was reaching out to them because he knew they were in need of a physician. That was Jesus' position on this. So there's an interesting transition that took place in John 13 there. I no longer call you servants, for a servant does not know his master's doings. But I have called you friends. For all things I have heard of my Father, I have made known to you. So the disciples went from being servants in this relationship to friends. They got there from what? From obedience. It says, you are my friends if you do whatever I command you. Isn't that a strange way of sometimes thinking of what a friend is? That's Jesus' way. It's not just that I love hanging with you and we're buds. That's great. There was an element, there was submission in friendship. This is what submission in friendships. And that's a wonderful picture of the interactions that need to take place in an assembly. We need to be in submission one another, esteem each other better than ourselves. This is what Jesus was doing. There are events, challenges, and differences of opinion going on between Jesus and the disciples, weren't there? They were tested and they were found faithful. The disciples were refined by the ministry trials they went through. There can be differences in our friendships with one another. The question is, how deep can a difference travel before the rope begins to unravel? When do we come out of accord? What's really binding us together? Is it because you know Pete, you think he's a nice guy, so he's my friend? Or is our friendship foundational in Christ? And are we both looking at Christ in the center of our friendship? It's so important. The worst distortion of friendship is when a friend, for any reason, intentional or not, directs our affections away from Christ. Let me explain. Matthew 16:21. From that time, Jesus began to show his disciples that they must go to Jerusalem, and suffer many things from the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be killed. Jesus was telling this, and be raised on the third day. Then Peter took him aside. Peter took Jesus aside and said, and began to rebuke Jesus. Isn't this amazing? Saying, far be it from you, Lord, that this should happen to you. But he turned and said to Peter, get behind me, Satan. You are an offense to me. You are not mindful of the things of God, but of the things of men. That's quite a statement, isn't it? In the previous verses right there, Peter said, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." So Peter knows exactly who Jesus was. He did. But in verse 22, Peter's rebuking Jesus. And it seems like a good thing at first. You know, Jesus, you're not going to go there. You're not going to die. I'm not going to let this happen to you. Seems to make sense, doesn't it? I mean, this Peter would probably do the same thing, I thought, right? But as soon as Peter, even ignorantly, comes between Jesus and the Father, he's labeled as Satan. Yes, we can have differences with friends, but friends will not become between a believer and God. That relationship between us and God, we should never, ever cause a brother or sister to stumble or fall. It never should happen. It can't happen. In doing so, you are labeled Satan. I read this and I said, wow, that's quite a statement, isn't it? Peter's helpfulness was a hindrance. Peter's seemingly godly friendship, when in reality, Jesus labeled it as satanic opposition. Get behind me, Satan. There's a consciousness regarding God that should flow in us continually. We need to be God-minded always. What are true friends? True friends expose our sins that keep us from God. In Proverbs 27, it says, "Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful." You know, if I'm walking in sin but convince myself that I'm walking with God, I'm no different than a Pharisee. I don't want to be like that. A friend needs to go through and expose our sins. In Matthew 18, "Moreover, if a brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he hears you, you have gained a brother." In Galatians 6, "Brethren, if a man is overtaken in a trespass, you who are spiritual, restore such a one in the spirit of gentleness, considering yourself, lest you also be tempted." Are we friends here today? I ask you this question. In this room, the verses I just read, is that a reflective model of how we would interact with one another? I think that's an important thing. Do we have the capacity to revitalize a friend that's in sin? Think about that. Do we? Because we're called to do this. This is serious stuff. Do we? Yes, we do. But do we exercise it, or are we fearful of the proposition of approaching someone that's in sin? How much do we really love them? Where's your love counter? You don't love them enough to step out in a little faith and go to a friend and say, "Hey, let's talk." Quietly, alone. That's what it's all about. That's what he said. True friends encourage us to obey God. In Hebrews 10, it says, "Let us consider one another in order to stir up love and good works." What encouraging. Hebrews 3, it says, "But exhort one another daily, while it is called today, lest any of you be hardened through the deceitfulness of sin." Encouragement means to give someone courage. That's what encouragement does, okay? It's not just cheerleading. Courage is the ability to do something that you're fearful of. It really is. There's things that we do that are fearful of, things that are hard to do. Obedience can be hard. You know what else? Working out alone is hard. Have you ever done that? It's really hard, that discipline. Going on a diet alone is hard. Going on a long road trip, it's hard. It is. Obedience to God, the ability to say, "Not my will, but thy will," it's hard. That takes courage. It really takes courage to do that. A true friend is one of the two cords that will give us the strength to be obedient when we're failing. Whether you're failing or they're failing, we're there for each other. That's what we want to be all about. True friends bring us to God in our weakness. I love this text. I've heard so many messages on this, and I love this text. Each one's got a different twist to it. It's from Luke chapter 5. Luke chapter 5. "Then behold, men brought on a bed a man who was paralyzed, whom they sought to bring in and lay before him," before Jesus. "And they could not find how they might bring him in because of the crowd. They went up on the housetop and let him down with his bed through the tiles into the midst before Jesus." This paralyzed man had a physical weakness that his friends knew Jesus could heal. They knew Jesus could heal this. There was no doubt in their mind. They were not stopped by the crowd, but went over them, and they went through the roof. That is the kind of friends we need to learn to be. It wasn't written there just to make a nice story. It was written there for our example. These 4 friends that brought him, they brought him here at any cost. They didn't care. And if you look into those times, that man that was paralyzed, in that time with some of the Pharisaical teachings, he may have thought it's been in great sin, so he deserved what he got, because a lot of that condemnation used to take place at this time. Condemnation can take place at our time too. We ought not let it ever happen. But the point being, that's what they were like. They got him. They wanted him to be there. When we walk alone in life, we're weak. We're susceptible to sin, discouragement, loneliness, and the world will consume us. We need friends exactly like this paralyzed man needed them. Don't fool yourself. You need friends. How to bring a friend to God in their weakness. How to do this? You need to listen. Predicated on that, you need to be with them. Minor technicality, you should be with them. Try not to do it on your phone because that's not effective. Eye-to-eye contact is really good. You want to be with them. You want to hear your friend out. The needs. They need to unburden their heart. They might have sin. They might have stress. They might have anger. I don't know what your friend has. Fill in the blank. But are we going to be there for them? And another something else I want us to learn. It's been proven in many studies. If you're meeting with someone and you love them, take this thing and shut it off. Don't put it on vibrate. They've shown study after study that as soon as this is anywhere in the vicinity, the level of contact and trust between 2 people goes down precipitously. If someone really needs you that bad, let them call 911. Because the point when you're with your friend, you are the 911 call. You're there for them. Put the phone away. That's a side note, that's free, but I tell you what, it's a great thing to remember because they're so distracting. Meet the needs of those enduring suffering, but do it in the name of Jesus. Help them out, but be sure to point them to Christ. He's the Savior, not you, not me. Always be pointing people to Christ. You're the vessel. You're his workmanship. Do that good work. Point them to Christ. A true friend is a faithful friend. Proverbs 17, it says, a friend loves at all time, and a brother is born of adversity. The question is, are we true friends? Are we there for our friends consistently? If I am not asking someone, I'm not asking if someone's there for you. Are you there for someone else? Here's the trick to this. I can't control you. You can't control me, but I can control me. So why don't I ensure that I am there for you? Don't worry about your situation. Turns out, when you're doing the will of God, God has a tendency to take care of you very well. We need to be there for the other person. Just be there for them. Don't worry about, oh, you don't need payback. You don't have it. You've got a Savior. You've got a Savior. There's your payback. We can control ourselves. Let's do that. In John 15, Jesus said, this is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. Greater love has no man than this, than to lay down his life for his friends. True friend is faithful, obeys Jesus' commands to love his friends, always, even in adversity, even as far as death. If you believe what's in this book, this is what it says. We're to be there. And it's a command. We're to love one another, even unto death. So you might not go to death, but you sure can do a lot of sacrifice to get you to that point. So a friend is one who takes you just the way you are with all of your imperfections. Hey, do you remember, everyone, you know who Billy Joel is, right? Remember old Billy Joel? He's still around, you know. He's still singing songs. He's about 100 now, I think. Back in 1982, remember the song he sang? I love you just the way you are. Real popular song. Top of the charts. It was great. It was a love song. We all loved it. You could sing along with it. You felt good. You were doing all these things. And that's cool. I love you just the way you are. And I get it. But would you think me caring friend or a careless friend if I were to sit back and let you go in continual sin? Think about that for a moment. I can love you just the way you are, because I'm supposed to love you. If I meet you, I need to love you. I need to do that. You see, God does not accept us the way we are. Isn't that kind of crazy? What do you mean? Well, God doesn't accept us the way we are. You see, when we're saved, okay, when we're saved, he makes us lovable. The Holy Spirit then resides inside us. God then takes us and puts us through a sanctification process. I want to be less like Pete and more like Jesus. I don't want to stay the way I am. I don't want you to stay the way you are. I want you to change. You're saying I'm not good enough? Well, maybe. I don't know. Don't you want to be better? Don't you want to be more like Christ? I do. I want to be less like Pete all the time. Pete's got anger issues. Pete's hyperactive at times. Pete's really irritating. Don't ask his wife, okay? Don't. I want to change. I want to be more like Christ. I really do. So if I love someone, I don't want to leave them the way they are. That Jesus didn't leave them the way they did. Jesus didn't leave any of his disciples the way they did he? He discipled them for about 3 years. Do you think that Matthew, the tax collector, was the same guy 3 years later as he was when he was a tax collector? I don't think so. He changed dramatically. So to be called a friend and not edify, direct, or be active in a friend's sanctification process really is a misuse of the word friend. I am your friend, or am I contributing to your delinquency, to your ultimate misery and heartache? The strands of the cord that make a rope, we should be making each other stronger. If we're sanctified, the rope will get stronger, not weaker with time. It will. But to allow my friend to stay in their condition is to weaken them. I can't do that. I can't let you stay in that position. I won't. I love you. I'm commanded to love you. You're commanded to love me. We're commanded to love each other. We need to strengthen each other like the strands of the rope. Friends are people that make it easier to live the gospel of Jesus Christ. People spend too much time always trying to find friends. We need to spend more time being a friend, a true friend that's there when it's needed. A friend will seek the highest good for another and walk with them hand in hand if necessary. A friend will seek the highest good for another and walk with them hand in hand if necessary, because that is what love is, doing the utmost good for someone. And if you need to do it holding their hands, hold their hand. Be with them and do that. The things of this world, they're going to take care of themselves. They always do. They always have. It always will. The cords are bound together. We're in accord with Christ. I believe we are. The vanity we see in life portrayed all around us is because we're trying to satisfy ourselves at times outside of God rather than being in gratitude to God. Jesus gave his life for his friends. Friendship is that important. We need to remember that. We need to love each other. We need to be those cords there, bound together in unity of love with Christ. Amen? Amen. We're friends. Let's have a word of prayer, and the praise team will come up. Father, I do thank you for this time, Lord. I thank you for this message that we just had. Lord, if anyone here is hurting, and Father, I know there's some people that are hurting in this room today. In fact, I know they are. If they want to come forward and pray, Lord. If you're a man will come pray with you. If you're a woman will come pray with you. But Lord, we thank you for this time. We thank you for this message of the preacher from Ecclesiastes, reminding us what it is to be friends. Thank you, Jesus. Amen. If you want to come forward and pray, you can. Please stand and join the worship team.
I once was lost in darkest night.